think it does take me a long time to really get over kind of being used by people.
Yeah.
Like, and especially when they say that they're friends or whatever have you. And I don't know, it's just so hard because as a creative, like, it's easy for people to say it's just business. Yeah. But I think that's what people weren't understanding about the strikes last year with the writers and then with the actors. There's so much of yourself you put into something that's artistic. Yeah. Like, I think that's where the fight of AI is like, yeah, sure, it's going to catch up to where it's going to be, you know, somewhat mimicking what a human can do. But until it's like literally the person from Her or the people from iRobot or, you know, any of the other, or Megan, any other AI tragic movies.
They say it's not sentient. Meaning it doesn't think on its own. It reacts to whatever you input, so the user is still in
But they think it can start regenerating it after some time. Maybe not in the next 5 years, but it probably can in the next 20. It's so crazy to look at 2010 because we've been watching Dateline. Yeah. And how stuff with 2010, like technology, how they couldn't get stuff off of phones and stuff, and stuff was all raggedy, and now all of a sudden they can find you down to, we knew it was one of these three brothers. And it was like, dang, until they can get the exact perfect match. But I think that's where some of my frustration comes from, and where it's hard for me to move on to the next. And I want to be that person. I think you can't, as a storyteller, you want to tell as many stories as you possibly can. And I think the thing about it is that for me, I get so emotionally stumped when something doesn't work out. Like, you know, when I did my film A Compliment to Coffee in New Orleans a couple years ago, like I was so ready to get that out, and the footage looked like crap, and and that was hard for me. And the working with, I don't want to say it like this, but maybe people that didn't have enough experience on both projects, that and the trailer I tried to do in 2019 in New York for a series idea. Like, it's even hard for me because I think it's just so, when something doesn't work out, it is so hard for me because I make television for so many people, right? Like, people watch things I have created and will never know who I am because I'm amongst 8 other producers on staff, and you know what I'm saying, and 8 that are working on one particular thing.
It's hard to stand out.
It's hard to stand out on something that, on all of these shows I've worked on for 20 years. And then, but I just feel so empty sometimes too, because I think it's like, I never had a personal connection really to those stories, but I still wanted to tell the best story I could because it was my job. But I think, like, for something, I don't know, it's like, I want to have that feeling I had as a kid, like when I would walk away from a movie or a book or, you know, a play, something that really moved me, even to tears, where I was like, I want to have that, I want to give someone that feeling of like, I can go out here and do anything. Yeah. I can go out, and that's what I wanted to be able to do with storytelling. And I just feel like when it comes to my own personal projects, I don't know. And I just haven't connected with that team yet. Yeah. Like, it's typically you and I feel glad that I'm not alone. Also, the pressures too of, like, because we chose television as our life's work too. Yeah. And that's so inconsistent. Yeah. Like, ever since COVID, it's just been so crazy. You know, it's just been one of those things and I think it's really the thought, you know what it is? It's really this thing of, this industry is really changing quickly. Yeah. And it's like, I know I have to be prepared for what those changes are, but then we still have to survive too, you and I. Yep. So it's like a matter of having to survive, so you still have to work in it, which means you overwork, because now the staffs have been cut, not even in half. It's like a fourth of what they used to be. And so when they're staffing a show, it's even smaller. And when it's unscripted. And then I think on top of it, it's like, I don't know. It's just so much more work to really, and then you have to get off of what you do for someone else for 10 to 12 hours a day, and then create your your own work to be able to start really thinking about what the future is going to look like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
And sometimes that part's hard when you have to survive.
Yeah.
When you haven't figured out the survival aspect of it. It doesn't mess with you creatively.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hate this cycle.
Yeah.
And I just wish I knew. It does. I hate that because the other side doesn't help my creativity either.
What other side?
Surviving.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make me any more creative. Surviving doesn't. Because then again, you're working 10 to 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So then you're just exhausted,
Yeah. I agree. So how do you want to change it? I mean, that's like, you can't change like what's
and which you can't fix. And,
the outside, right?
I have to make myself.
Externally, you have to change internally. Right?
I mean, I do have to make sure that I film every day. And you know why I need to film I need to film something is because there's so many other people out there that feel the same way I do, even in this industry, even though they don't want to admit it, because they're not really sure what the next steps are.
Yeah.
And not everybody's path is the same either. It's like either it's one way or the other. It's like, I have to keep working in it and hope I get my break. Yeah. But I think because there are now opportunities where you don't have to do it the traditional way anymore, maybe it's me trying to figure it out and maybe helping those that are looking for other paths to do it. Because some people ask me all the time, and I wish I could just give them a clear cut, oh, you can do it this way. And I still don't know because it hasn't worked for me, but that's because I haven't really tried it either. Yeah. Right? It's not like I've killed myself to get it done so I can be well, it worked. I can't say it works or doesn't work because I haven't successfully done it all the time. Yeah. I think it is just a matter of sharing with people too. Last year I went through I would have periods in my career, particularly when I was producing shows for Bravo, Lifetime, all these different networks and MTV. I would actually have I couldn't think of anything in my head to write. Then when I did take downtime, and of course you were carrying the load of our household, it felt like the floodgates opened and I started to be able to think of more ideas. Yeah. But I never shared them. I never thought about what you could do past, how do you even, because everyone has a film idea, right? Everyone wants to make a film. Everyone wants to make a scene.
100,000 scripts are made every year, some shit like that.
Yeah. And not even, and under 1,000 of those are made by studios.
Yep.
Under. If we're talking not even hundreds, because how many films come out per year?
Yeah.
So when you're talking about 100,000 scripts are made, 900 and some, maybe even more, 900 and some thousand of those are non-studio scripts. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I think what got bought at Sundance recently for $10 million. I think it's today, the other day, it was a huge purchase. Was it Real Pain? It got bought for, the Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran Culkin Sundance comedy drama, A Real Pain. Searchlight bought it for $10 million. And I think Jesse Eisenberg actually directed it. So that one got purchased, but it was 4 executive producers, I think.
Yeah.
And not, well, 4 executive producers, but one of the producers on the film was Emma Stone. So, you know, it's like when you get to a certain point in your career, you can start calling in favors. I think that is my biggest frustration too. Yeah. We can't call in no goddamn favors. We've actually had meetings with people that told us, you can't get people that we work with in our business to work for free. Yeah. I guarantee you Emma Stone has not, she just starting to see a check. Yeah. Because the film sold.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, I guarantee you she didn't see one putting this film together. I think that's the thing I don't understand sometimes. Like, how do people think this business works? I don't know.
So what do you want to do that's different? You dreamt your whole life of seeing your words come to life. And to me, it's like, well, there's so many different ways to tell stories and so many different ways to create films, especially now, right, with direct distribution, YouTube, social media, all types of different platforms, and it's just like, well, why does it seem like every idea you run into a roadblock when it comes to like resources, right? Like,
yeah, it does. That's it.
What can you do that doesn't require resources that you would find fulfilling as you grow and build resources, right? Like if you had to start. If you were 15 years old and you had to start it all over again, right? And you're just a kid with a dream, but now you have YouTube, you have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have, and you have all this camera equipment. Somehow, I don't know, someone bought you all this camera equipment. But let's say even if you
somebody really loves me.
Even if you didn't have the camera equipment, let's say just your phones, right? Because now the power of the phone is equivalent to some DSLRs. What would you do with $0? How would you make stories as an excited young kid?
I'd probably do a lot of it like, I'd have to go to brass tacks, like do more of it documentary style, like until I can kind of figure out how to, you know, I would either do 2 things, like narrative podcasting. I would figure out how to do more things POV with the camera, where I wouldn't have to use a lot of actors until it was time to do that. Yeah. Because, and the only reason I say it that way is just so there can, like, I can actually get some stories out there. Yeah. Because I think the one thing is when you do start engaging with people of trying to build on your resources, it's nice to have some things to be able to show that you can do. Yeah. I feel like that's one thing I always get asked for, like when people ask to see some work. And when you don't have that, it is kind of one of those things where it's like, well, why am I talking to you? Yeah. You know, because they don't feel like you haven't even made the effort or to try to figure out how to do it, where there are some of these 20-something-year-old kids that, like you said, are picking up a phone and figuring out how to do it. I mean, I even thought about doing the thing with an inanimate object like a balloon, like the life of a balloon and how it goes from...
American Beauty already did that.
Was it about the balloon?
No, it wasn't. But I think the balloon was some type of metaphor that went over my head.
I never, you know what?
Oh no, it wasn't a balloon, it was a plastic bag. The balloon was in it. And that was little kids into getting eaten alive or whatever he was doing to those little kids in the sewer.
Oh.
Whatever happens in the sewer stays in the sewer.
Yeah.
So back to my question. If you had $1 in a dream but you had support. I can edit. I'm a reluctant editor. I have a skill to edit. See, that's the thing too. Like young Shayla would be mad at old Shayla. I think. Like young Shayla would be like, well, you're dating a man that's an editor. You have camera equipment, mics, lavs, shotgun mics, all this, et cetera, and you can't think of nothing to do. And
I can think of some stuff to do.
Then do it. Just do it. Like, I'm a stubborn dude, right? Like if I value my time a lot, as you can tell. I value my time. I don't like just doing stuff and I don't see a clear path. Right? Like, but all these cameras are set up for you to do it even with me being stubborn and regardless. You know what I mean? Like, you could sit there and be like, well, I'm gonna show you too, Terrell. Like, I know I can do something and I'll do it without you. You know, and maybe that'll inspire me to say, you know what, I'll help. Like this conversation right now where I just picked up the camera and said, you know what, you're having a moment, let's record this moment. You know? So what is it that you can do, you know what I mean, with $1 in the dream, and only thing is the power of your brain. You know, if you had to literally start from day one, you're building a platform, you're starting your journey as a storyteller, because you made this painfully clear to me. You were like, I don't need a film to be a storyteller. I don't need theater. I just want to tell stories, whatever shape, form, or style that is. Like, right. You know, to me, that's kind of interesting. You know, I mean, that's an interesting thing. Like, you know, I think, not to steal this moment, but when I think about it, I think like using all available resources to its fullest capacity, right? Like, so if you're talking about, okay, you can do, you know, okay, you look at it, you can say, all right, I got cameras, I could talk to the camera, right? Like, obviously you can't afford actors, so you have to do some type of acting, but you're not an actor. Okay, cool. So what can you do? You can just read your script. You can look at your script and be like, all right, can you do some type of hybrid where you're doing audio and video? You know what I mean? Like, where you're just like intercutting maybe some audio elements, like what we talked about, right? You know what I mean? You take it to a level further and you say, all right, cool. Why are you looking at Fabletics? Anyway.
I'm trying to skip the month.
Well, I'll wait till you're done. Because for some reason this is happening right now while I'm talking. Which I'm glad this is on camera, because I want people to witness. This is what you do all the time. As soon as I start talking, you start doing something else. So it's either something in my voice that makes you be like, oh, man, I gotta find something else to do.
Go ahead. Now you have the cameras.
It's a heavy camera.
It is heavy. I don't like it.
It's not recording.
Oh.
Big red button. The circle one. Well, also you're lazy because you're sitting down. So what you probably should do is hold it. There you go. Use one hand as security and one hand to guide. I don't know why you have one hand like this. You're funny. No, I was gonna say is, you know, if I had no resources, right, and I'm thinking about like, okay, if I was a writer, which I'm not, like, so this is where I struggle with. Excuse me. This is what I struggle with. Yeah, I know, right? This is what I struggle with. I struggle with, like, I don't have like those ideas, and I always commend people. You gave up in 2 seconds. That's hilarious.
It's heavy. Yeah. And you know I got bad wrists.
I held that for 15 minutes.
I have bad wrists. You
held it for 15 seconds. No, I'm joking with you. Go ahead.
What camera is this?
Why don't you use the little cameras?
Yeah.
It's not on.
I know. Give me time.
This camera's on. That's this one. So what I would do is...
Handsome.
Thank you, sweetie. You're not recording. You just turned it on.
Oh.
Yeah, I just feel like what you could do is, you know, some type of hybrid between, like, you know, documenting, you know, creating something, or you could just go flat out create. Like, you could just do like a like you said, a narrative podcast. You can do like what else you can do? Narrative podcast. Like I do think being a documentarian is
it's a particular passion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like, because you have to be passionate about the subject, and you have to be passionate about like where you whatever you're addressing, whatever the theme or the concept, you know what I mean? Like, so I think like being a documentarian is like a little bit of a different animal and beast, but I do think like, because you like writing scripts, I think you should first think about like, I think you had the right idea when you first wrote a script and you read it straight to the camera. I definitely think that at the very least you should be able to do that. You just have to maybe think beyond that. You know what I mean? Be like, all right, like what other elements do you want to put in it to make it entertaining, right? What else do you want to film?
Snapbacks and tattoos.
You know, I do think there is room, but you have to have a real passion to really just kind of get out there and create, because it's a 2-layered thing too, right? Like being a storyteller in a form that you like writing, and being a content creator, even though they overlap, they are 2 different things. You know what I mean? And it's like being a content creator, it is a very particular nuanced skill that you develop over time. And I think me and you both kind of take it for granted that we've been able to do content for production companies that, you know, then to turn around and say, all right, how do you make content yourself, is a hurdle that I've struggled with, right? Like, I mean, we put out very little content if it's not like a podcast, you know. So I think that's one of the things that we got to figure out, like, I guess how to get over that hurdle of like, okay, like there's so many things that I just have no interest or passion in, like acting, right? Like, so when you write a script, I'm not thinking about like, oh, I want to jump up and read a script. You know, like I like the most, I do enjoy talking to you.
I enjoy talking to you too.
You don't listen to me a lot of times.
I do listen to you.
You'll start doing something else. But yeah, I think that you know, I do think maximizing our strengths and avoiding our weaknesses is something, right? Like for me, like I get really uncomfortable. Acting makes me uncomfortable, right? Reciting lines makes me uncomfortable. You know, I will never be comfortable with it. I'm really good at improv, right? You give me something, you say, Terrell, make something out of this. I'll do it. I'll be like, you know, whatever. I'll do fucking silly impersonations, silly voices. But the minute you say, hey, I got this script, I'm checked out. It's just, it's a fear. It's a deliberate, whatever, you know, you know, one of those things that crippling. There you go. We'll just say crippling. Crippling fear is like, you know, reciting lines and I'll just freeze up and then I get nervous and then, you know what I mean, like I'll forget the lines and like I could never be an actor. God bless y'all for who can act, but for me, I'm pretty good at improvising stuff. I'm good at like thinking quick on my feet or whatever the case may be. So to me, it's like, if you want to incorporate me, you have to figure out how, like, that's when you have to go into like, as a content creator, as using your producer skills, right? It's like, okay, how do I maximize my one person that I can work off of to do improv, and where maybe you're really good at, you know what I mean, like reading your script, and maybe you're really good at also improv, right? Like you're multi-talented, where I'm just one-dimensional type of person. I think that's what it is. Like, I think if I had to start with $1 in a dream, what I would look at is what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses and what are my resources, and work within my resources. Like, for example, you have an interesting script right here, right? Which visually it's almost impossible to do, because right away it's including a Bentley. right away it's like, okay, so there goes that.
Oh, the past.
So that has
change it. I have other ideas.
So that would have to be all audio.
Right.
Right? Like, so if you wanted to create content for something that's all audio, you basically would have to do what we talked about, like a script read. And, you know, we like while you're reading the script, I react to it and we go back and forth and we joke. Okay, I want to actually go shoot this. You be like, well, we ain't got no fucking Bentley. You know what I mean? Like we ain't got that. Just ain't gonna happen. So, you got to think about it from that perspective of like, okay, what resources do I have? And I think that's where there's a disconnect between you as a content creator and you as a storyteller. Like your stories are very.
There's also a disconnect between me as a producer because most producers are trying to figure out ways to save money. I'm always a producer that wants to spend.
Was you that way in reality?
Oh yeah, and I'd have to be told to think smaller.
Oh, so I do have to take back what I said earlier, that you would go to the line producer only when you had to. You definitely would go to the line producer with lofty ideas.
Yeah.
Well.
But then I would figure out how to do it on a smaller scale.
Well, I think that's maybe what you have to tap into. You have to tap into like, okay, how do I do this stuff? What resources do I have that I can do it, and how can I do it with whatever I have?
Yeah.
I think that's what, if I had to tell any content creator, right? Like I would be like, first think about what resources you have. If you have a phone and you got objects around your house, all right, how can I make that happen? How can I put together something that's interesting with what I have right now until I can get, my favorite saying is like, I'll use what I got now till I can get what I want, right? So
I think I have an idea.
So I think that's what it is, but anyway, we can read the code open.
You want to read the code open?
Yeah, we can. I mean, am I putting your mic on?
So this is a sort of true crime pod. So it's like fake crime stories.
Are you filming me? Filming you?
Yeah. I don't know why I like doing this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone likes it though.
I like it.
Okay. As long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters, my queen.
So this particular crime story is the Pastor and His Bentley. Okay, this is just the cold open. Fast-paced track under sirens and multiple sound-ups. Host. It appeared to be a freak accident. 911 operator. 911, what's your emergency? Allie. Help, help, the pastor. 911 operator. Ma'am, please, I can't. Ma'am, I'm under 35. I am hardly a ma'am. 911 operator. Okay, ma'am. I'm sorry, miss. Please tell me what's your emergency. Allie, it's the pastor. 911 operator. Miss, please slow down. What pastor? Host, it's described by parishioners as a typical fall Sunday. Audio of a church choir singing and the parishioners taking part in the praise and worship. Deaconess Huntley, we're coming off of the Thanksgiving holiday, and we all have so much to be thankful for. Minister of Music Brighton, there isn't an empty seat in the place, and you can just feel the spirit welling up in each and every person within the space, and the pastor was so filled up. Pastor Watkins, do you feel it? Parishioners, yeah. Pastor Watkins, do you feel it? Parishioners, yeah. Pastor Watkins, I feel it. I'm filled with the Spirit. Yes, God is truly in this place. Host, and as the Spirit continued to fill the space, the exuberant young pastor believed his congregation could be moved in other ways. Pastor Watkins, if God has provided you with all that you and your family needs, parishioners, yes, go on, Pastor. Pastor Watkins, then clearly you can give more to his house. Parishioners, yeah. The character Quizwell. Church can be like a game sometimes, One day you're on fire. Pastor Watkins, Jesus stretched out his arm and said, take hold of me and I will lead you to the table in my Father's house. Parishioners, yes. Deacon Johnson. And then there's other days where you can't hit a shot, score a goal, or touchdown, whatever to save your life. Pastor Watkins, is there anybody here? Anybody ready to take Jesus' hand? Anybody? Deacon Swift, regardless of what kind of service we was having, that was Pastor Watkins. He was our Michael Jordan. Host, but even Air Jordan had an off night. As the vivacious pastor's church and reputation expanded, something sinister bubbled under the surface, threatening his legacy. First Lady Watkins. At home, he was just Harold, husband and father. Deaconess Treadwell. Every drive, every fundraiser, every major community event, he was there. He never missed a beat. Host. A beloved pastor, community leader, husband and father, who took a small, cherished Baptist church and turned it into one of the largest in the nation. Deaconess Huntley. A lot of people were shocked that we were now worshiping out of the same stadium where the Clippers play. Host. But with the triumphs of the charismatic pastor came trials. Quizwell. You can't have success without haters. That's part of the recipe. Host. A recipe that would become toxic. Deacon Swift. There were rumors about relationships with some of the ladies in the congregation, and then there were the finances. Finance Committee Chair Rowland. You have close to 18,000 parishioners who are tithing and contributing, and our finances were just balancing out. But somehow, the pastor's salary kept growing. Pastor Watkins. Don't ask how come the pastor got 10 vehicles. Don't ask how come the pastor got a regular house, a summer house, and a lake house. Parishioners. Yeah, Pastor Watkins. God looks after those who look after his house. Host. Apparently, God wasn't on the night of Sunday, November 25th. God's eyes might have been taken off the alluring pastor with the flourishing congregation. This is the Pastor and His Bentley.
All right. So let me make it better. All right. Just messing with you.
It was bad?
No. Well, I'll tell you what my problem with it is. Is it a comedy or is it not? Because it feels like, because you're such a good dramatic writer, it still feels very dramatic. And I think, like, let's go back to the top and I'll tell you with some of the comedic stuff that maybe you may not want to use some of it.
Start at the top. Where is the...
All right. Where we go? Fast paced. It appeared to be a freak accident. 911, what's your emergency? Help, the pastor. Man, please, I can't. Okay, why is she saying I can't? Can't make her out because she's
she gets cut off.
Ma'am, I'm under 35. I'm hardly a ma'am. Ma'am, I'm sorry, miss. Please tell me what is your emergency? It's the pastor. Okay, so for me, part of me would want to, I don't know, because it's a cold open, so are you coming back to the 911 call?
Later in the thing? Yeah.
So it'd be more filled out? Because part of me wouldn't mind it being a little ratchet to be like, what's the pastor's name? I don't know.
Pastor Watkins.
Okay. If 911 operates like, the pastor, they'll be like, what's the pastor's name? Pastor Watkins. And then the 911 operator is a little ratchet. She's like, girl, let me tell you about Pastor Watkins.
I like that.
Let me tell you about Pastor Watkins. You heard he over there got another girl pregnant?
She does say what pastor, and then I can have her say.
And then
she can say.
And then the lady is like, yeah, I know. Like they like gossiping, like wow, it's an emergency call. Like I said, so it'd be like, so I think it'd be funny in that regard to be like, it'd be funny like in that regard because it's like I said, you're taking a serious moment and you're like, like you're really like making it ridiculous.
There isn't an empty seat in the place, and you just feel the Spirit welling up in each and every person within the Spirit. This is where this one would be good to shoot, because like how you couldn't believe Pastor T.D. Jakes was dancing, and like do you feel it like he could be dancing?
How about there is a lot of empty seats?
Oh, okay.
There is a lot of empty seats in the place.
For some reason, there was a lot of empty, and you can notice it in a stadium for someone.
Like almost like, I hate to bring up TD Jakes, like deflecting the fact that we know why there's empty seats.
Okay.
There's, maybe there's been a lot of rumors about, who the pastor has been, like whatever it is, like who the pastor done been romantic with. Okay, so and for coming off a holiday, you can expect there to be standing room only.
But there were plenty of empty
seats. Some may think because of the rumors that we will not be addressing.
Some would say address.
And then you can finish off with, you know what I mean?
And the pastor was so filled. How about that?
Yep. Do you feel it? Yeah. Do you feel it? Yeah. I feel it. I feel it. I'm filled with the Spirit.
If it's like 3 or 4 people saying it, instead of like being allowed.
Yeah.
And then the Spirit continued to fill the space.
I feel it. I'm filled with the Spirit. Yes, God and truly in this place.
Hey.
And the Spirit continued to fill the space amongst the empty rows of seats.
Yeah, okay. A beloved pastor, community leader, husband, and father who took a cherished small Baptist church and turned it into one of the largest in the nation. A lot of people were shocked that we were now worshiping out of the same stadium where the Clippers play. They're going to move out here, so I could have said, like, they're not going to be at Staples anymore. It's kind of playing off of how Faithful Central used to be at the Forum.
A lot of people were shocked. That we are now worshiping out of the same place where some young ladies used to drop it low.
Okay, that's good. Throw it in the circle.
Some young ladies used to throw it in the circle. But we don't judge here at Unchanging Hand, which actually is really funny of a name to play off that if they're in a former strip club that they converted into.
But with the triumphs of the charismatic pastor came trials. You can't have success without haters. That's a part of the recipe, a recipe that could become toxic. There were rumors about relationships with some of the ladies in the congregation, and then there were the.
That's more about that's more how delivery, like there were rumors about the relationship, my relations with some of the ladies in the congregation, and then there were the finances.
You have close to 18,000 parishioners who are tithing and contributing to where it's just balancing out, but the pastor's salary kept growing. Don't ask how come the pastor got 10 vehicles. Don't ask how come the pastor got a regular house.
Don't ask.
How come the pastor got a regular house, a summer house, and a lake house? Like Bernie Sanders called it a summer camp. Like, God looks after those who look after his house. Apparently God wasn't on the night of September 25th.
God's eyes. Apparently, God wasn't on the night of Sunday, November 25th. God had other plans for one of his vehicles, one of his 10 vehicles.
Oh, I got to change the number 10 because
Was that a religious thing?
No.
Oh.
You have to spell out, I have to make 25th too. You have to spell out numbers in scripts.
Oh, okay.
Because, sometimes numbers play with people's
absolutely, especially when you're reading. Yeah. When you're reading and then you switch to a numerical. Do you want to read it through or you want to keep just going?
No, because I haven't gotten that far. You said I'm going to start it here and then I was getting ready to go into like.
All right, let's read it through.
Code open, fast-paced track under sirens and multiple sound-ups. Host, it appeared to be a freak accident. 911 operator. 911, what's your emergency?
How about, I hate to be like so stereotypical.
I was thinking of doing that one.
911, what's your emergency? And maybe she mutters under her breath, why are they always calling? Why people always calling?
How about mumbles. I was hoping for a slow night.
Yeah.
Oh, she can say that after she yells.
Okay, all right.
911, what's your emergency? Help, the pastor. I was hoping for a slow night.
All right. I'll read Ali. We can go back and forth. I'll read it.
Okay. I think Ali's supposed to be a woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna do it in a female's voice.
Okay. You have no female's voice,
Nope.
honey, but it's okay.
Especially with a cold. Oh, it's gonna be really funny.
Host, it appeared to be a freak accident. 911, what's your emergency? No, not, okay. Host, it appeared to be a freak accident. 911, what's your emergency?
Help! Help! The pastor. The pastor.
I was hoping for a slow night. Ma'am, please, I can't.
Ma'am, I'm under 35. I'm hardly a ma'am. Bitch
Okay.
sound like she's 45, 85. Okay, my fault. I can't do the voice.
Okay, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Miss, please tell me what's your emergency.
It's the pastor. The pastor.
Ma'am, miss, please slow down. What pastor?
Pastor Watkins of Unchanging Hand AME.
Pastor Watkins? That grimy, no good, cheating son of a...
Girl, no cap. You know that nigga was shooting craps last week over in the Overland Projects with Deacon Johnson last week.
I'm not surprised. That nigga owe me $20. Wait, why'd you call again?
So horrible.
Host, it's described by parishioners as a typical fall Sunday. Audio of a church choir singing and the parishioners taking part in the praise and worship. Deaconess Huntley, we're coming off Thanksgiving and we all have so much to be thankful for. Minister of Music, Brighton.
And for coming off a holiday, you expect there to be standing room only. But there were plenty of empty seats. Some would say, because of the rumors that we will not be addressing. But the pastor was so filled up.
Pastor Watkins.
I can do Pastor Watkins. Do you feel it?
Yeah!
Do you feel it?
Yeah!
I feel it. I feel it. I am filled with the Spirit. Yes, God is truly in this place.
And as the Spirit continued to fill the space, because, well, they had a plethora of seating in the large stadium, that didn't stop the hustle of this exuberant young pastor who believed his congregation could be moved in other ways.
If God has provided you with all that you and your family needs,
Yes, go on, Pastor.
then clearly you can give more to his house.
Yeah. A beloved pastor, community leader, husband and father who took a cherished small Baptist church and turned it into one of the largest in the nation. Deaconess Huntley. A lot of people were shocked that we were worshiping out of the same stadium with some of the young ladies that attend now used to throw it in a circle before it became Unchanging Hand AME host. But with the triumphs of the charismatic pastor came trials.
Quizwell. What is Quizwell? What is he?
I don't know. I haven't.
Parishioner?
Maybe he'll be Usher Quizwell.
Okay.
He could be an usher.
Okay. I'm gonna do it like this. You can't have success without haters. That's a part of the recipe. Let me do it again.
Okay.
You can't have success without haters. And if you understand, when I was incarcerated, I knew all about haters because I didn't do the crime. Them haters snitched on me.
Whoa.
And that's part of the recipe.
Host. A recipe that could become toxic. Deacon Swift.
Well, actually, you know why you should put that in? Because you have to start thinking about red herrings, too.
Yeah.
So someone should be a felon as a red herring.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it should be Quizwell.
Well,
I'm
I'm
just
also
saying.
gonna have him having a relationship too with some, and so they're gonna be looking at husbands. So it's gonna be something completely.
Yeah, whoever.
It's some business he was doing dirty in town.
Got you. All right. Deacon Swift. There were rumors of relationships. You want to do that one, or you want me to do it?
Deacon Swift. There were rumors about relationships with some of the ladies in the congregation, and then there were the finances.
All right, so You have close to 8,000 parishioners who are teething? Tithing. Oof. That's a hard word for me to say. All right. Let me go Poindexter. You have close to 18,000 parishioners who are tithing and contributing, and the budget is just balancing out. But the pastor's salary kept growing.
Pastor Watkins.
Don't ask. How come? Okay, don't ask. I gotta go out. Don't ask. How come Pastor got 10 vehicles? Don't ask. How come? Wait. Don't ask. How come Pastor got a regular house? Why he got a regular house?
Like, you know, like how it's just a house he lives in, a summer house and a lake house. Would you not call it a regular house?
Should we do mansion?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
All right. So I'll bring him back up here. Let's see. All right. So we're coming off of. You have close to 18,000 parishioners who are teething. Teething?
Tithing.
Damn. You have close to 18,000 parishioners who are tithing and contributing, and the budget is just balancing out. But the pastor's salary kept growing? Don't ask how come Pastor got 10 vehicles. Don't ask how come Pastor got a mansion, a summer house, and a lake house. Worry about getting your own.
Parishioners. Yes.
God looks after those who look after his house.
Apparently God wasn't on the night of Sunday, November 25th. Yes, God had other plans for the pastor and one of his 10 vehicles. This is the Pastor and His Bentley.
That's good. We're going to get canceled. On the first fucking episode, we're going to get canceled for destroying the black church. All in one episode.
All by the same people that watch it.
I know. Well, don't worry. We'll attack other communities as well.
How did it feel?
Feels like we're gonna get canceled, and that's a good feeling.
My girls hold me down.
Yeah, if that shit didn't get him canceled, then we should be safe.